Hello, you're watching Ellie from Elementary Paper Crafting. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator here in the UK. Last week I made this little chocolate Ritter Sport Bar favour for my friend's birthday, and I wanted to make a birthday card to match. So let me show you what I'm doing today. So the inspiration came from a Christmas card I received, and it's from a dear friend of mine who doesn't normally make what should we call it, 3D cards like this. So I was really overjoyed when this came in the post to see that she'd branched out into something like this. Now apparently she got the idea from another YouTuber called Iced Images. Now I really love this, so I'm going to thank Iced Images very much for this idea. However, mine's going to be, I'm making a bigger card. This is 5x7, and I always make A5 size cards, so my version is that much bigger, and I have slightly changed a few things just to, you know, individualize it. So let me show you how I've changed this up. So I'm starting off with a piece of cardstock for my base, and this measures 8 1/4 inches by 5 3/4 inches. Now, if you're using the American size cardstock, it's just half a sheet of your cardstock, okay? Now, the next thing I'm going to do is make a mat before I put some DSP on. Now, I love to use the gold foil sheet or mirror card, whichever you like to call it, but I don't want to waste a whole sheet when all you're going to see is a very small border around the outside. So I like to take the middle out. Now, some of you may have seen me do this before, but in case you haven't, I'm just going to show you again. I take the cardstock, I turn my trim around like this, and the reason I do it is because I want to see this little mark on my trimmer blade, because that lines up with the measurement that I want to use. So I place my cardstock in, and I come to this side of the cutting groove here, and I'm going to put this up to 1/2 inch. And then I'm moving my trimmer blade to 1/2 inch on this one. And incidentally, to make these measurements bold so I can see them really clearly, I just took some of my grid paper here and cut off the ruler so that I could stick it here and see it really well. And I've used inches this side and centimetres that side. So whichever I'm using, I've made it easier for myself. So I'm cutting down, this piece is 8 inches long by 5 1/2, which is 1/4 inch smaller than this one. So I'm starting at 1/2 inch, I'm going to come down to 7 1/2 inches. So that leaves a 1/2 inch frame by the time I finished. So I just put my thumb down the bottom here to stop my cutting blade going too far. And then I can slowly move it down to the 8 1/2 inch. Now I leave it at 8 1/2 and lift this up and turn this 180 degrees so that I'm now cutting on the other long side. Again, I bring it along to 1/2 inch here, close it down. Now it's already on 7 1/2, so I don't need to do anything except move this up to 1/2 inch. Then I turn it 90 degrees and I bring it back to the 1/2 inch mark, close it down again, and this time I'm bringing it down to 5 inches because this measures 5 1/2. So again, I'm just going to put my fingers there to stop my cutting blade going too far, and then I'm coming down slowly down to the 5 inch mark, lift, leave it where it is, 180 degree turn, back in on the 1/2 inch mark here, close, bring it back up to the 1/2 inch mark, and that way you will cut out the middle of the piece of cardstock, which you can keep and use for something else. And we have the border that we needed. So the piece of designer series paper I'm going to use matches that which I used on the top of my box. And this measured 5 1/4 by 7 3/4. So now you see why I've taken the centre out of that cardstock, because all you're going to see is that small border, but no one will know that we've cut the middle out. So to stick the two together, I'm going to use double-sided tape. I find that if I use a wet glue on this board, it can spoil it. It can seep out a little bit and you'll get smears on it, which isn't attractive. And then carefully align a border as I want it to be. And then I can remove that backing tape like so. So now this is going on to our base card. And I think you'll agree that that all looks really super. That little bit of gold all around the outside matches in with the gold foil in the DSP. So I'm coming around the edges with my Tombow multi-purpose glue. And then I'm putting a little in the middle as well. So this wet glue gives us a little bit of time to get the top layer on evenly, so I get that nice border around the outside again. So that's our base card. The next piece I'm bringing in measures 6 inches by 5 3/4 inches. This is the piece that's going to sit in the middle and fold. So you need to bring in your scoring board or your trimmer, whichever you like to use. And I'm putting it in so that this is the 6-inch side along here. Okay, so this is at landscape orientation. Just check when you put it up in the trimmer that it's the 6 inches. Okay, and you're going to score at 3, so that's exactly down the middle. Okay, so that's scored down the center. I'm going to decorate this on both sides with some more designer series paper from this honeybee pack. Now, I've chosen to use 2 different ones and a different one from here, just so that it all complements each other. Now, I would like to see the black on the front of the card. So let me bring in my sample. I'm making this bit in the middle, and I want the black pieces here, and I'm going to put the gold and white on this side. There isn't any on this one, but I thought it would look nice if I put some on there. So I'm going to fold and burnish the cardstock first so that I can make sure I get this on the correct side. So make sure these 2 edges align perfectly. take my bone folder and score. So I want the black one to be here and here, and those ones to be on the back like so. So let's go ahead and do that. So these pieces of DSP are about 1/4 of an inch smaller than the area. So this one is 2 3/4 inches wide by 5.5 inches high, and they're all that size. Okay, so let's bring this back in again so we can see where we are. So that's going to fit in the middle here. So the next thing I'm going to do is these pieces that form the half star. Okay, these have been made from cardstock. I'm going to use a different method. I'm going to use the designer series paper for that piece. And I think I can do this and make it work well, because this designer series paper isn't flimsy. It's not like printer paper. It's got a lot more substance to it. It's more of it's between card and paper. So I think this will stand up well. So what I'm going to do is make the two that fit in here in the black, and the one in the front with the gold and white. So let's start. They're all going to be exactly the same. So these measure 7 3/8 by 1 3/4. And it's really simple to get these into the shape we need. So basically they are just squares. They end up squares. So as long as you have 4 sides equal measurement, they will make a square. But then when you fold them, they look like diamonds. And then you add that little extra bit for the tab. So we're going to score up 1 3/4 inches and 3.5. Five and a quarter. I have to go up the top now. And then I'm just going to turn it round and score it at 3/8. If you want to pull out this, you want to do it all in one go, you can pull that out and then score at 7 inches. Okay, so I'm going 1 3/4, 3.5, 5 1/4, and then I'm just going to measure it 3/8 here. Do this one the same. Okay, so using your bone folder, just come in and burnish all your score lines. Okay, and now we're just going to stick this end to the 3/8 of an inch tab. So you just fold that down and stick this on top. Really, really simple. It's always a good idea to bring in your silicone mat when you're using this wet glue, just in case it comes off. You don't really want the glue to end up on your grid paper, because when you're working on that, you don't want everything to stick to it. So you see where that glue came out? It's come on my mat, which is absolutely fine, because it will just wipe off there. If it's on your fingers, you can just rub your fingers together and the glue will come off, and I'm just rubbing it off my fingers into the bin. So that won't go anywhere it shouldn't. And then you can see you've got your square here. But when we stick it in place, it will look like a diamond. So let's go ahead and do all 4 of those. Sorry, all 3 of those. That's all 3 finished. So next we're going to pop them onto our card. So what I like to do to make sure I get everything centered properly is, first of all, I'm going to take my piece of card for the center, and I know that this measures 5 3/4 inches, and I know that half of that is 2 7/8. So if I pop this card here and use this line, so I know that that's the center. So if I make 2, 1, 2 and 7/8 and push that up to the end there, I know that there is the center of my card. So I'm going to take the first piece, which is, I want one of the black pieces, and that sits here. So this is the wrong side. So let me show you how this is going to go on the card, like so. So I'm going to stick these either side like so, and that's how this card sticks to the base. It sticks through these 2, okay, like so. So we need to place them on the cardstock back of this first and then onto there. So here we go. That's my center point. And then I'm taking these 2 pieces. That side is going to stick to my card in the center like so. And again, you know that this is 1 3/4 inches. So if you place that with 3/4 of an inch either side of your 8-inch mark, you know that it will be centered. Okay, and I'm going to put glue on the complete square there. Okay, so that's right up against the edge of this folded cardstock. And make sure you let that dry nicely. Don't move it for a while, because you want to make sure that that is really stuck firmly, because it's going to be a moving piece. So I'm just going to put a weight on that and leave that for a couple of minutes to dry off. So I left that for a couple of minutes to make sure it was completely dried, and now I'm just going to repeat the exercise on the other side of my cardstock. I'm going to do exactly the same thing again. So just pop that on there to dry that off for a minute. So now we've got those 2 pieces in place, we can pop the whole thing onto the card. So again, I'm going to use my grid paper to make sure that I've got this right in the middle. So using the central line, let's put our piece of cardstock down. And this is 8 1/4. So if I've got the middle on 8 inches, I should have 4 1/8 either side. 1, 2, 3, 4 1/8, and the same there. So if I put this against the 8-inch mark along the middle there, and make sure that that's perfectly straight, I know that if I put glue onto this part, it will be in the right place. So I'm just going to open this up, making sure I don't move it anywhere. And keeping it all exactly still, I can then put my glue here, right up to the edge, right up to that fold mark. I'm putting plenty of glue on, because remember, this is the part that's going to hold it all together, and then put that down, and making sure that I keep this all nice and firm, keep it all steady, and I can use my weight to gently move back and forward. So let's bring that up, and we just move that slowly to make sure it's stuck. And so there we have 2 parts of our mechanism, and then we're going to bring the third one in, stick it in the middle, and then that will make sure it's all together. So here you see everything's stuck in place, and when that, if you just keep moving it from side to side so that it all gets used to being bent, and then you can bring this one out, and there is your, if I put it from this angle, you'll see there's your half star. Okay, so the base of the card remains flat. You never put any creases in that base card. Okay, now I'm going to add my greeting, which I've prepared earlier. I wanted this to be foiled to match the foil on here, so I've done this using my laminator and some a laser printer and a laminator and some gold foil, and I'm going to pop that on there. It might look a bit black, this, it often does in the light, it's a bit difficult. I tried to do this to show you the foiling, but whether it works or not on camera, I don't know. So I'm just putting that flat in there. I don't want anything to be standing upright on this. So that's my half star card. Now you can further decorate this if you require. So let's pop this one back in. So my friend has decorated these center pieces with little stars and some little edging, which is absolutely gorgeous. I really love that card, and that's why I wanted to make one, but obviously I wanted to make it differently. So by using completely different colours, I've done a different size, and rather than using plain cardstock and decorating it, I've used the designer series paper, which means it's already decorated. Now, if I wanted to put something extra on here, I could, but for me, that is decorative enough. I don't like anything overdone. We've already got 3 busy patterns on here. We've got the bees with the leaves, we've got the larger honeycomb, we've got the smaller honeycomb, I've got the happy birthday. For me, that's plenty going on. But please, whatever you think is better for your card, then you carry on and you do that. The finished card will fold flat and fit into a C5 envelope, like so. And then all the recipient has to do is pop it back up like so to display it. So that's a matching card and gift for someone who likes bees and yellow. I think they're going to like that. Thank you very much for watching today. I really appreciate your support. If you're watching on my YouTube channel, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. And I'd be really grateful if you share the video amongst people that you know who might like to watch this kind of thing. If I can help you with any Stampin' Up products, you'll find links to both the annual catalogue and the current mini catalogue in the description box below the video. If you're watching on the Facebook page, you'll see a button at the top of the page which says my online store or something like that. Okay, well, thanks again for watching, and I hope I see you all very soon. Bye bye for now.